Okay, for this next EOC practice question, they have a paragraph here describing a situation, and then we see we have two parts to this question we have to answer. The two parts talk about which linear equation best models the scatter plot, and it's multiple choice. And then part B says, based on the model in part A, what could be the highway fuel economy? So we're trying to figure out a value for part B. Right, so first thing we need to do is look at our paragraph here and try to understand what's going on and look at our graph. It says the fuel economy of a car is its average distance traveled per amount of fuel consumed. Cars have different fuel economies when they drive in the city and on the highway. A linear model of the relationship between the city and highway fuel economies of 8 cars in miles per gallon is shown. So we can see on our graph that down here we have city fuel economy, and over here we have highway fuel economy. So when we have multiple choice like this, one strategy you could use is to pick a point that's on your graph and plug in the values and see if we get an answer that's close to the y value. We know that for a line of best fit, that the line should go through the majority of the points. Like if we look at these are pretty linear. So we know that our line probably wants to go through these, and it might be something like that. It might be slightly higher because of this one. That might pull your line up a little bit, so it might go up above there just a little, because we know we want some points above the line, some points below the line, some points on the line. Okay, so we're not exactly sure what it's going to look like, but it's going to be close to that. They're not really widespread out. They're pretty tight together. So if I were to pick, let's say this last point here, 40, because 40 is a nice number to plug in. It's easy to plug in. If I were to plug in 40 to the top.
Teachers, please pardon this interruption. At this time, please release all students with a pink club pass. Please release all students with a pink club pass. All drama club will only be for officers only. Thank you.
If I plug that value of 40 in, I'm going to do 2/3 times 40 and then add 19. I get 45 and 2/3. So I did 40 times 2/3 and I add 19. So that's 45 and 2/3. If I look at the point on my graph, it says it was supposed to be 46. So that's really close to what that point is. Right? If I try the next one and I go 6/8 times 40 and then I add 25, I get 55. So that's a lot higher than where this point is. That would be way up here off my graph. If I plug in 40 here, I do 3/2 times 40 plus 19, I get 79. Again, that's way higher than I want it to be. And then the last one, I do 8/6 times 40, and I add 25, and I'm at 78 1/3. That one's way off. That's way high. So these are really far off. This one, not as far, but still not accurate. What I would do is I would say that these two are not going to be my lines because they're so far off. I would maybe want to double check a second point with this one. So maybe pick this coordinate here. This coordinate's at 32, and I should be getting an answer close to 40. So if I check the first one and I do 2/3 times, oops, hit the wrong button. If I do 2/3 times 32, and then I add 19, I get 40 1/3, which is really close. I want it to be 40. And then if I do 6/8 times 32, and I add 25, I get 49. And that one is high. It's way up here. So that one's not going to work either. So I'm pretty confident that A is correct by checking 2 of the points. Okay. And then B says, based on the model in part A, what could be the highway fuel economy? So we're focusing on highway fuel economy of a car that has a city fuel economy of 43. So we know that the city's 43. if we look at our graph, the city is our X, the highway is our Y. So I know the X in this case is 43. So that means I want to take my equation that I used from the top, and I'm going to say y is equal to 2/3 times 43 plus 19. So in our calculators, we do our fraction 2/3 times 43, and we add 19, and we get 47 2/3. This says round to the nearest hundredth, so it doesn't want a fraction. So we have to remember that this button down here will change that into a fraction for us to get 47.67. Okay, remember you want to round up if the value is 5 or higher. So we're going to go 47.67.